Hi, Neil here with Covers Camo, your source for custom seat covers. Today we're doing the install on the 2009 GMC Sierra 2500. Awesome looking set of seat covers that we're putting inside here. True timber urban canvas, real durable seat covers that we're doing inside here, both the front and the back on this extended cab. Excited to show you how these seat covers are going to go inside here. Let's do it. So we're getting started on this install. Again, this is the 2009 GMC Sierra 2500. And this front seat's a set of buckets with a hard console in between right there. And we're gonna be doing the seat covers on the buckets, the headrests, and I'll also show you the back seats. The back seat is an extended cab, and the extended cab has a 60-40 split bench in this one. And we'll show you more of that when we do the rear seat. But something that's really unique about Chevy seats, and if you're doing this install and you're watching this, getting ready for your install, there is a button to push, but then you do have to use a small either pin, or I use a small little Allen wrench here that you can push in. And Chevy makes it a little bit more difficult Chevy GMC makes it a little bit more difficult to remove your headrests when, because they don't want everybody removing headrests for a safety precaution. So you push that in right there, and then you can actually lift this up and out. And on this particular seat, I'm gonna have to move the backrest back a little bit more, just to give myself a little bit more length. And then you can pull that headrest out, because you'll need to have the headrest out to do the install on the backrest. And the backrest cover is gonna be the first one that we're gonna do. So here's the cover. True timber urban, really nice print, and just some good blacks and grays and kind of a light gray inside here. Just a nice print. We really like the camo prints because they hide the dirt and stains and just show up really nice and keep looking nice in your vehicle. So we're gonna slide this over like this here, and on this particular set, it has 3/8 inch of foam backing on it right here. So you can see that foam backing with the scrim backing on top of that. So that foam gives your seat a lot better look, and a little bit more comfort there too. So we're gonna slide this over. Now these covers will cover over the back pockets, but we've added on the special ops pockets, or the tactical seat back pockets back there. So that'll actually increase the storage capacity now back there. Okay, so once we slide that over, the next thing that you're going to want to do is, we'll actually do this part right now, is we're going to push this part, this felt right here, we're going to push that through the seat around to the back, and there's going to be Velcro on the back side that you're going to connect them together. And this gets a little tight right here, so out of any spot where you might want to wear gloves, this would be the spot where you want to maybe stop and grab some light gloves, just because it gets pretty tight on your hands as you're pushing that through. But what I've done now is I've pulled that through to the other side. I'm taking my other hand and pulling the rest of the fabric through, and gonna finish pulling that through, and then just make sure everything's lining up smooth on the front side right here. Okay, so that's looking good there. Okay, so what we're doing now is these headrest post sections, and there is gonna be a little fiber stick tool included with your seat covers, and I'm gonna take this and install this around like that. And what you want to do is just get it so it tucks out around like that. Okay, so now that I've taken this felt, I've pushed this through the crevice, or the crack between the backrest and the bottom, and we're going to take this felt right here and pull this up, and then we're going to stick it to the Velcro that's on this backrest. So I'm just pulling that up, just trying to keep it nice and smooth as I do that. If you have two people working on this with you, you can have one person pull and stick that down, and the other person kind of pushing from the other side. but I've done this enough where I can kind of get it to the spot where I want, and I can just stick it on the backside right there and just make sure it's all looking good and smooth on the backside there. Now that finishes the backrest. Now we're ready to move on to the bottom. So this is the driver bottom section now. We have a driver MOLLE pocket to store the pistol on the inside, store knives on the outside or other gear there. And then we got a driver's side pistol holster on this particular set as well. And what I'm gonna do is it's gonna come with these strings tied up. I'm gonna loosen these up, just that'll help me get the install right and where I want it, and we'll retie some knots when we're ready to finish the install. But just untie those, and then I'm gonna take this strap right here, and this is the middle locking strap that locks the cover down. And so what we're gonna do is fit this cover around here. This outside cord here, that's gonna go on the outside of your seat belt. So outside of the seat, and then I'm just gonna drop that down right there. I'm starting to fit this over into place. On these leather seats, it's a little slippery as you're initially kind of getting started, but don't worry, because we're gonna get this all nice and locked down in a second once we finish with the straps and the cord around the outside. Okay, so now next step is to take this back portion of the cover and push it through. And again, this is where it gets a little tight right here. But what you'll do is just take that, start pushing it through right there. Okay, so I can feel that that's started to make it through the rest of the other side. And so now once it starts to go through the other side, I'm gonna reach with my other hand and start to pull that on the back side here. Now we'll show you on the back side. You can see it's starting to pull through right here. Here's that locking strap and buckle right there in the middle. And I'm just gonna get all of that Velcro pulled through. Now on the back of this GMC seat, same with the Chevy seats, is it has a black, kind of a plastic bar. And we're just gonna go over that plastic bar and take the straps. Once I tried the install going underneath that bar, and it's a whole lot of work for not a lot of a difference in finish look, because it's just so tight and the Velcro sticks to the cloth underneath there. So we're gonna go over that bar with the strap, with these buckles, and these straps are gonna go over it. And the other thing I'll try to do is just try to get as much of that cover through and then smoothed out. Sometimes it'll fold over itself and get kind of stuck. But I got that cover through now, so that's looking good there. And now at this point, what we'll do is we'll stop the video and then show you on this outside here how to tuck in the outside section. So here's the outside of this seat cushion right now, the seat cover cushion. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this tool and start to tuck this fabric in to that trim plastic. Now, one thing you're gonna wanna do is always bring your seat up as high as you can, because once we're gonna be working underneath that seat, and you want it as much clearance underneath there as possible. So we're gonna take the trim tool again, start tucking this in, that extra fabric, so you get a nice outside finished look on it, right there. Now this elastic right here, this is an elastic that will tuck into this trim piece right here and actually go underneath and hook onto a spring, or you could tie it onto a bar. The third method would be taking an S hook. You could put one side of an S hook and hook it on. I usually just go underneath and tie it to something, or hook it all the way. Yeah, just get it out of the way. But the main thing, the purpose of this is to kind of pull this side of the cushion, this seat cover down, and keep that tight, because as you get in and out, sometimes that can, pull up there a little bit. So that'll help to lock that down a little bit. So a little trick to get that inside the trim there is if you take just a little piece of duct tape and put that onto your trim tool like this. And I just have that hooked on. And what I'll do now is push this in to the seat. And I'm gonna find kind of a gap inside there and I'll push this into. Okay, so that's about where, so it's kind of this spot right here is where I'm pushing this in. So now I've pushed that in there, and then I can actually just feel that right now with my other hand. Here's that elastic right there. So that's a little trick, because if you try to just drop that elastic in without doing that like that, it's kind of hard to, it doesn't push all the way through. So that's a nice little trick for you. Okay. So now, but before I reach underneath and do that elastic there, the other thing I'll show you is you're gonna wanna take this outside cord right here, okay? And we're gonna drop this down as well on the inside, because I have seen customers take this and go around the outside like that, and technically that could work for some people if they want to do it that way, but that's not the ideal way to do it. And so I'll show you the better way to get this done is we are going, always, every time it's a little different on different trucks, so I'm just making sure that this is where I want to go with it. So we're actually going to go through the space on the inside of the trim right here, and we're on the outside of the metal of this, actually the seat, but we're on the inside of this plastic trim right here, not the seatbelt slot, but on the inside of that. So I'm going to start to drop that through right there, and what I'm going to need to do is just reach underneath the other, or with my hand right there, and pull that through right there, and then we'll take this string towards the back side and finish pulling that through. But what I'm going to do right now is finish tucking some of this fabric in like that right there. Okay. Okay, so now what we'll do is go to work towards the back side and get that cord tied up and start showing you what's going to be happening underneath the seat, because we really have the seat cover in place where we want it. Now it's time to start locking it into place. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this outside string that I just passed through, and I actually like to go on, not every vehicle can I do this, but I'm going to go on the inside instead of going around this metal down here, down below. So, sometimes you have to go down right there, but on this one, if I can avoid any sharp metal corners, I'm going to. And so I'll go on the inside of that, and then I'll also go on the inside of this other metal bracket. It's kind of tough to see things down here, but that's the general principle, is that you want to avoid sharp metal corners as much as possible. And so I'm going on the inside of that, and now this other string here, we've passed this through right here, and what we're going to do as well is I can pass this string. So there's these two strings, or cords, draw cord, string, whatever you want to call it. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a loop in one side, like a little noose right here. That way it's going to give me a chance to cinch it up, yeah, get it at the right right level of tightness. Okay, so I got that loop tied up right there on that one, and now what I'll do is I'll take this guy on this side right here and pull that across. Now on this particular seat, you don't have to have this this cord, just straw cord, super tight because there's so many straps. We have 2 outside straps, a center locking strap. This straw cord is more for the aesthetics on this particular pattern. So I'm not going to be too worried about getting this one super tight, but I do just want to get it nice and snug. And I'm actually going to retie this a little farther back because I kind of ran out of room to tighten it. So I'm just going to go back a little bit further. Okay, so just get that where it's snug. And then you're just going to pinch it and then finish tying it off. And this seat, especially the electric controls, happens to be a seat that always ends up being a tight spot to work underneath it. Okay, so I've just tied a knot in that so it's not going to slip out now. And then after this, I'll show you really what's going to keep this seat cover super locked down, and that's these outside straps for these buckles. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this middle strap. This is called our safety strap or our locking strap. And what we'll do is take this down underneath to a solid bar underneath the seat and then back to itself. So on right next to your foam of your actual seat cushion, there is some of these springs, and they're called these metal springs, and they help hold the seat foam all together. And they're great ones to fasten this strap onto. And so I've taken that to one of those metal springs. They're smaller, they're kind of skinnier springs, but they're really sturdy. And so I've gone underneath there and now to this buckle through the middle slot, and then we're gonna go through the outside slot right there. Okay, and that's the way you're gonna do all of the buckles throughout this install. Through the middle slot, then the outside slot. And we're gonna lock that down, and this strap is nice and long, so what I can do here now is I can actually take this strap and pass that towards the front, and then I'll go on the front side and finish pulling that forward. I've gripped onto with my left hand, I'm holding onto the strap, and what I'm going to do with my right hand now is push down nice and tight, so then it's just making sure everything is locking down smooth on this cover. So I'm holding that down as I'm pulling down right there. Okay, so that's locked that back down. Now we're going to do those 2 outside straps. So now there's 2 straps on the front side of your seat cover, and what we're going to need to do is pass these straps underneath the seat towards those back buckles. It always is a little tricky when you have electric seats, and this particular GMC has electric seats on the driver and the passenger sides. And so what I need to do is I'm just going to be avoiding the electric cables and controls that are underneath here as much as possible. Try not to compress those too much. What we'll do is pass those back towards the buckles on the back side, and then when we have those on the back side, then we can cinch those up to the buckles and cinch those down. I have these 2 straps passed back, and again, when I pass those straps back, it went as high to the seat as possible, avoiding controls and motors, as I passed it back. And another thing to note is with this middle strap right here, when I went underneath the seat and I locked that to a piece of the seat and went back, you want to make sure that whatever you're locking it to is a bar that's connected to the seat, that moves with the seat, because as it moves forward and back, you don't want it to be putting pressure on the strap, and you also don't want it to keep your seat from moving. So that's what you're going to want to do there. And now what I'm going to do is take these two outside straps and put them through these buckles and then cinch this down. Now I'll actually pass that towards the front as well, because I should be able to reach that from the front side and cinch that down. And these will give just a really nice lock on the seat cover so it doesn't ever shift around. And we'll pass that underneath there as well. Again, kind of a tight seat, so if you haven't already, make sure that you move the seat in the highest position as possible, because that gives you the most amount of space for your hands to work with underneath here. I am taking the straps that I passed towards the front and going to, so I got this outside one right now, and one thing I like to do is kind of compress on the cover. So I either push down with your hand or lean on the seat there, and even kind of compress on the back side right there. That helps to just get the seat cover really snug, tight to the seat cushion as you compress. You know, so it's kind of like a fit on a glove, like you're pushing on that glove and then cinching it on. So we're gonna do that, and then I gotta do this outside one as well. And again, kind of a tight spot to reach inside here. But I got it there with one arm. Now, when another note is as you're doing this, make sure you don't move the electric seat controls as your hands are underneath here. Just a word of caution. Let's give that one more snug pull there. And those are gonna be guaranteed snug fit tight if you install it like that. That is not gonna shift around, and that acts like another skin to the cover. I mean, it was super slippery before because it's leather seat going on that leather. It's kind of sliding around. But now that we got that locked in, that's locked in good. The very last thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you that elastic that was on that outside, how to tie that off. It's kind of a tricky elastic piece. I'll show you that. So this is a really tight spot to film, but if you can see right over here is where I took the elastic and hooked it around one of those springs, and that's a metal spring that's underneath the seat, and that's a good spot to just hook on that outside elastic piece right there. That's probably the easiest spot that I found that still is going to hold that elastic nice and tight on the outside right there. So this seat bottom is all done now. What we're going to do is move on to the headrest cover now. On this particular set, the hook Velcro is the front side, and so we will just place the headrest into the cover. And now it starts out kind of slick, so you might want to put it on your leg there. That start it on, and then I always compress with one hand and pull with the other hand. That's how I get these on, just like that. Perfect. Okay, and we're going to continue to pull it over. You want to get all the sides on. Make sure you take this flap, if it was curved underneath, fold that back underneath or around right there, so that'll give you that coverage there. And these two Velcro pieces we're going to connect together like that right there. And I'm going to shift this whole thing, shift it all back just a little bit so we get coverage down here on the back side like that. And one little thing I do sometimes, it's definitely not required, there's fabric on the inside of this seam where the two pieces of the two fabric panels were sewn together. Sometimes I'll try to line that up so like that extra fabric is either all towards the front or it's all towards the back. I think the other side I did, I pulled that inseam fabric towards the front there. And Then I'll do the same thing with this one. That way they're just kind of matching on both sides. And depending on which headrest it is, that can be more or less difficult. Okay, perfect. So now we got that. There's the cover there. And to put these back in, it's a lot easier than when we tried to take them out. You don't need a special tool or anything like that. We're just gonna take the headrest and pop them in right there, and you press down on this side button to get them in. Right there, like that. Okay, perfect. So now we're gonna move on to the back seats. We're gonna do the 60 section backrest, and then we'll do the 60 section bottom. And the 60 is the larger seat here. And we're gonna do the backrest first. And first step is you're gonna wanna take this seat belt, pull that forward. It's a pretty common mistake people will do is they'll start installing the seat cover without pulling that seat belt out, and then your seat belt's trapped on the underside there. So pull that out there, that'll be the first thing. Then take these straps, pull these around here, and then what we can do is cap that top corner on right there. And then what we'll do is take these headrest posts. These ones are smaller pieces that just pop in a lot easier, so I don't need a trim tool to do that. I'm just gonna use my hands there. Yeah, and then we're gonna take this corner up here, put that on. Now this backrest is a little tricky because it is attached to the seat and does not fold forward. Technically, you could go through the work to kind of remove the whole seats if you wanted. That'd be a little extra labor for you if you want, but I'll show you the way how to get them in without having to do that. And so what we'll do here is we're gonna pull the cover down a little bit right there. Now, if you're really struggling with this piece of dropping these straps down, you could take like a long, I don't know, baling wire, or you could use like a dowel, like a skinny dowel or something like that, and tape the straps onto the dowel and then pass these down that way. I'm gonna show you how to do it without a tool, just because I try to show you most of these steps without fancy extra tools that you may or may not have. And we should be able to get this just by passing these straps down. The biggest trick with this on this type of seat is you're gonna have the most space on the top section when the seat bottom is up like this. So like this opens up a gap of space when the seat's up right here. Now when the seat's down, that opens up a gap of space on the lower part of the seat. So for this first part, when I'm starting to pass the straps through, I will have the seat in the up position, the seat bottom in the up position as I pass these straps through right here. And sometimes you don't even need to push your hand through. You can just kind of drop these straps down. But the goal is to just drop them down as far as you can right now. And then what we'll do is come from underneath there in a second and try to collect all these straps. Pull them the rest of the way down. Okay, so what we'll do now is, again, move this down into this position, because that's going to open up a space underneath the seat right here and allow us to reach up underneath there. Again, the farther that it's down, the more space there is on the back side there, but it gets kind of tricky because you also need to get your body or your arm underneath there. But I was able to grab, here's this outside strap, so there's the first one that I was able to reach up and grab. So there's the outside strap there. Now what we're gonna do is see if we can reach up and grab some of these other straps. Okay, just got another one here like that. Again, if this seat is all the way up like this, there's not enough space for me to reach up there when it's in that position. So you definitely need to pull the seat down, you know, towards a 45-degree angle right there to get that. Okay, so there's a strap right there. And there's another one. Again, I'm just reaching up. I'm not gonna actually cinch up any of the buckles just yet, because I want to make sure I have all the correct straps lined up with the correct buckle. I've made that mistake before, where I've started just getting right into cinching up the buckles, and I was like 1 off or 2 off on the buckles, and then I had to loosen it up and redo all of them. So now that I've passed, I think I have all of the straps and all of the straps through. What I'll do now is feel right here. Okay, yes, this, you know, I can feel with one hand right here, and I can feel with my other hand the strap. And so this is definitely my outside strap. And so now I'm gonna line this one up with the outside buckle right here. So there's that outside buckle. And so I'll take this and push it through that outside buckling. I won't tighten this up real tight just yet, just because I'm essentially just matching these all up. And so this one should be my second to the outside right here, this strap and buckle. So I'll just confirm that by reaching up top and making sure, okay, yep, this is the second to the outside one right there. So now I'm gonna match that up with this buckle here. Okay, let's keep that right there. Now this should be the third to the outside, so the next one here, perfect. And it is, confirm that. Okay, yeah, so we already did that one. Now here's this one right here. So I think I have one, oh yeah, 2 more. So here's my second to last one. Again, this is the harder part of the back seat, is this backrest, just because it doesn't fold down. The bottom's gonna be super simple. Okay, here's the outside buckle and strap right here. We've got that all lined up, and we'll push this through. Okay, so now that I have all of those lined up, each strap has a buckle, and we're lined up. Now what we can do is start tightening those up tighter and cinching that up. And again, to do that, the best position to give yourself enough space to reach underneath there to tighten that up is the seat in the lower position. So right here, so if we put this seat in like the 45-degree angle position, right here, I'm gonna reach underneath with this arm. And sometimes what you can do is actually, and I'll do this for part of it, I'll actually lay on the bottom floorboard and then reach my arm up underneath and tighten that up. So what I'll do now is I'll actually lay down right here and see if I can, because then I can put that seat, roll that seat onto me a little bit like that, and then fit my hand a little bit better inside there to tighten that. Now, one thing it's hard to see this right now, but you do want to try to keep the buckles and the straps nice and flat against the seat. Like there's there's one spot where there's kind of a metal hinge underneath the seat, and you won't be able to see this, but it's about right here, and that hinge, it's a metal hinge that the seat is swiveling on. It's better to not have the buckle laying on that. Try to lay it actually on the seat cushion, just because then it's not going to be rubbing against that buckle all the time. So that's what I'll do. I'll do that same method where I'm just kind of laying underneath the seat, reaching underneath there, folding this down while I'm doing that and tightening it up. I'm gonna do that with all those straps and buckles right here, and you start to get this seat tighter against the seat right here, the seat cover tight. I've tightened down all of those straps and buckles. Now, the next step that you're gonna do is there's 2 outside elastics on the sides here to kind of keep the outside of the seat cover nice and tight. And here is one of them right here, and then here's the other one. What I'll do is I'll reach behind right there, and then I'm gonna take one elastic and loop it through the other one, and then I'm gonna tie these 2 together, and that way you can tie off those 2 corners, those outside corners, and just get them nice and tight. And that elastic will just tie that off. I always do a double loop on them just to make sure they never slip out later on. And so that's those outsides right there. And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of pull on the cover right here and push that around, those corners around, to let that elastic kind of pull together right there. I'll do the same thing with this one over here. I'll give it a pull and then push that cover around the side right there. Okay, perfect. So now that finishes the backrest cover, and it's time. So that's looking good. Again, snug on the top, sides there, looking good. Child seat attachment bars are still accessible if you need to push in the child seats. Those are there. Now we're gonna move on to the bottom seat cover. Here's the bottom cover. So the top is gonna be the one with the foam padding on it right there, and then the back side's gonna have this felt. And so what we'll do now is lift this seat up like this, and there's gonna be felt on the back side, and then this Velcro on this front side right here. And as you can see, this cover is, we're getting this protected. The dogs have actually kind of beaten up this leather, so this will be good to get this protected and looking really good again, and keep this seat, especially that seat foam. You really want to protect that seat foam, because once that foam gets exposed to the dogs, or that foam can start to split out. So we want to get that protected here. So we're going to slide this cover on here. I'll actually fold this in half initially, because I want to get a nice good pull on the top portion of that seat cover. Okay. And then sometimes what happens is this Velcro will start to stick down, but we don't want it to stick just yet, because we're going to pull that felt through the seat back here. And this seat belt actually goes above the cover. So you're gonna take the cover, push that underneath it right there. So that seat belt actually goes down and it attaches to the floorboard. It's not truly connected to either seat. So we'll start to push this all through here. Hey, that's looking good on the top right there now. So what we'll do is take this felt again, pull that down. And just give that a nice tight pull. Take this, stick these 2 together like that. It's nice having this bottom covered with the seat cover material, because underneath your seat is actually that carpet that you saw that we just covered. And that carpet, when that gets muddy and dirty, that's really hard to clean. That carpet, you gotta brush it out and vacuum it off. And now with this material here, it's gonna be so much easier to clean. You just wipe this up, and if you have this up and the dogs are back here, much easier to get the dog hair off and wipe these down. And even if there is a little bit of dust or dirt on there with that pattern, you don't see it as much. So nice to have this bottom coverage here. And there's that 60 section bottom. Again, just like I said, super simple on that one. That all looks good there. And now we just need to finish off with the headrest. So it's a smaller headrest. Your fronts were bigger headrests. And so these smaller covers will go on the back side. Now this hook Velcro on this one, it's a longer piece as well, or wider piece I should say. Wider piece of hook Velcro on the front. And so I'll line this up with the front side of the headrest here. And again, using my knee, I'll push the headrest material into it as I pull this on right here. As I get it on there, then I'm going to switch to the other side, push with one hand and then pull with the other. And sometimes it's helpful if you take the headrest and you could even take it into your carpet indoors and push it down like that, just to give yourself another spot to kind of pull that cover on top of the headrest there. And just working this around here. Okay, so we got that around right there, and then we just need to attach up this Velcro at the bottom. Make sure I have it all pulled down so it's nice and smooth on the top there. Okay, and then we're going to reach around, stick this Velcro on. Okay, so I got that stuck together there now. And so it should finish out like that. So just nice and snug everywhere. And then we'll take this and push this back in. Okay, so that wraps up this install. Thanks so much for watching this video. Again, this has been Neil here with Covers Camo, your source for custom seat covers. To see more, go to coversandcamo.com. We offer seat covers for trucks, Jeeps, cars, SUVs, and UTVs. So if you're thinking about getting some seat covers on a vehicle, go over to coversandcamo.com.